Welcome to Make the Grade with the Success Doctor, Stephen Green, where you'll discover actionable strategies to help your student to reach their academic goals, to excel at standardized testing, and to plan for the college admissions process painlessly. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Green.
Hey everybody, Steve Green here, the Make the Grade podcast. You know why we're here? Very simple. To provide you, the listeners, the audience, with actions, strategies, plans to help you accelerate your journey to success. And you are going to love my guest today. I love him for two reasons. First of all, he's written an excellent book, a really good book. We're going to talk about it called The Dream Job Discovery. And secondly, his last name is the same as my first name. Imagine that. It took me 170 something episodes to make that work. I've had other Stevens on, which is, of course, the best first name. But Ken Stephen is our guest today from the Northlands of Canada. Correct, Ken?
Yeah, that's right. Way up north.
So, yeah, there we go. Way up north from me. I'm in northeast U.S., but not north. Anyway, Ken, welcome. How you doing? How you feeling today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. And thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Let me just tell the world about you a little bit. Ken is an entrepreneur, consultant, author, speaker, coach, and former marketing and advertising executive for Fortune 500 companies. Sorry, got a little cold today. He envisions a world where everyone eagerly embraces their work, feeling passionate and purpose-driven by what they do. It is not only his passion, but his life's purpose to help at least 1 million people get unstuck from a job they don't enjoy and discover one that fuels their passion and inspires their purpose. That is a very ambitious goal, Ken.
It is very ambitious. One person at a time. Okay. That's how we'll get there. One person at a time. We're going to eat the elephant one bite at a time.
I mean, Ken's not the youngest guy I ever met, but he'll get there. I'm confident. He's getting there. But I'll tell you, this book, I'm going to keep referring back to it. He spent most of his career in jobs he disliked. Okay, he was chasing opportunities for bigger paychecks, better lifestyle. It became so miserable, he couldn't even enjoy his earnings. He desperately wanted to find a job he could feel deeply passionate about. Really didn't know how to do it. It's no how-to, right? It's like raising kids, right? Nobody really tells you how to do it. That's why Ken wrote his book, Dream Job Discovery. Frustrated with the conventional passion discovery methods were fruitless to him, Ken spent 16 years researching, developing, and testing a better way. The result was the invention of the Dream Job Type Indicator, DJTI. It's the only professional online career assessment specifically designed to identify the type of work you naturally feel passionate about doing. You developed this yourself, Ken?
I did. It was 16 years in development, and it's a very original approach. No one has ever approached it this way before.
Wow. I mean, there are like career assessment things that they're out there, but you'll tell us more about that. And finally, in August of 2021, Ken published his book, Dream Job Discovery, How to Find a Job that Fuels Your Passion and Inspires Your Purpose, even if you don't know your passion or purpose, in parentheses. It's available almost everywhere books are sold online, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Apple Books. Well, let's congratulate you on the book, first of all. I've written a book. It's a labor of love sometimes. Sometimes it's frustrating. Sometimes it's pleasurable. But it's work and it's effort. If you haven't written a book, first of all, if you haven't done a course, you should get with me because that's what I coach people to do, audience. But Ken, this book is about 200 pages. Am I off a little bit?
Yeah, 220, something like that.
I got to tell you, I've had a lot of people on who are authors, and this is really an audio only thing. I'm holding the book up here, folks. This book is one of these books where you could pretty much, I don't know if this is how you intended it, Ken, you could almost go open to any page, almost randomly. I'm just going to, all right, I'm on page 73. Recognize when your values change. That's great advice, because what might be, I'm going to take a stab here. What might be a great job for me when I'm 25 may not fit my mojo, for lack of a better way to say it, when I'm 45 or even 30, right? So this is something you may want to reevaluate. So, okay, let me kind of summarize, and I want you to tell the story on your own. You're working, you probably have pretty good gigs, 4,500. I mean, they're not, you're not scraping, but you were unhappy. And you said, maybe if I get this other job, I'll be more happy. If I make more money, I'll be more happy. Finally, you just pulled the plug, and now you are an entrepreneur, coach, helping people kind of get out of the rut that you were in, correct?
Yeah, that's
Why
the
do you
mission.
why do you think this is such a pervasive problem? Let's start with that. Is there a percent, like, can you quote a study or maybe even something just anecdotal, like what percent of people in the workforce, and maybe it's different in US and Canada, worldwide, but what percent would you say are at least borderline unhappy to miserable?
Well, Stephen, first of all, Gallup does a regular study.
Okay.
It's called their employee engagement study. They run it worldwide in more than 150 countries around the world, and
Are
it
you serious?
consistently shows that on average, 85% of the workers are not emotionally engaged with the work they do. In other words, they have no passion for the work that they do. Okay, now it's 85% is a lot. The best case scenario is in North America, where it's 70% of the workers are not passionately engaged. Now, I'm not saying that everybody in that group of 70 hates their job, all right? More than, I would say about 60% of them are actually quite indifferent about it. They just say, you know what, I have to go to work, I have to earn a paycheck. I
You
don't
gotta
really
eat.
like it, but I
You
don't
gotta
really
put food on the
dislike it.
table, right?
Yeah, it's fine, right? But the remaining part of that group, they're the people that wake up in the morning, they look in the mirror and they say to themselves, shouldn't there be more to life than this? Shouldn't I be enjoying my life now instead of waiting for retirement to have a good time? And those
Mm-hmm.
are the people I want to help get unstuck from their feelings of stress and misery that they have now in a job that they don't enjoy, and help them find a job where they can feel passionate and purpose driven instead.
If someone is this resonates with someone, and by the way, let's say you're a college kid and you're listening to this and you haven't even gotten to the workforce yet. We don't want to scare you. There are jobs that are actually things that people really latch onto and enjoy and feel fulfilled in. The trick is finding it and merging your skill set with you, what drives you, maybe emotionally, maybe mentally, maybe spiritually, maybe philanthropically. I mean, there's a lot of things at play here. Ken, does this apply just as well, since I'm kind of thinking this, to somebody who doesn't even have a job yet versus somebody who maybe need to go into transition?
Oh, Stephen, it would be my goal would be if every kid in high school was to be given this assessment so they could immediately figure out what it is they'd feel passionate about doing. They could avoid potentially spending 50, 60, $100,000 on a university education that might all be something that is gone to waste. And then they say to themselves, like, for example, I work with doctors. Doctors have spent so much time and money on their education, and when they finally get through the whole thing and realize they do not like being a doctor, they have no passion for it. And actually, they feel stressed and miserable by doing that job. But they've spent so much time and money, they just stick it out because it's like a sunk cost to them, right? So if I can help people before they even make that university education decision, pick the right career path, it's just going to be so much better for everybody.
So what's if this is resonating with somebody, whether they're unemployed, unhappily employed, medium unhappily employed, what's the first step? The first step is, I guess, connecting with somebody like yourself and then taking this assessment, right? This DG, let me make sure I get it right. Uh, DJTI, right?
Yep,
Okay.
DJTI. Um, think of the DJTI like you've probably heard of the Myers-Briggs type indicator,
Myers
right?
Briggs, I have heard of.
Yeah, so Myers-Briggs, it measures your personality type. What the DJTI does is it measures your dream job type, okay? It's your job passion workflow. That's basically what it's measuring. So, yes, the starting point, and this has been the missing piece to the puzzle. You've always been able to take a personality test or a behavioral traits test like DISC, and you've been able to take, Clifton Strengths to figure out what your natural talents are. They just measure things that will there's skills that you can leverage to make sure that you'll perform well in the job. But the missing piece is, do you enjoy those skills? Do you enjoy using those skills? And so that's why I developed that assessment. And to me, that's the starting point. Let's figure out what you feel naturally passionate about doing. Then let's figure out what skills you would need in order to do that workflow process well, and therefore be able to get promotions and pay raises and advance your career.
So there may be some re-education or some new training involved because you may need not, you can't, go be a lawyer without going to law school, for example. Like you may decide that's your passion. You can't just walk in and be a lawyer. Um, is this something that you have found? Let me back up. Book came out about 6, 7 months ago, right?
Right.
How's that been received? I mean, give us some kind of you got any case studies? Somebody got my book and, you know, they always wanted to be an astronaut. Now they're an astronaut. You have any
It
good
takes
stories
longer
like
than
that?
6 months to become an astronaut.
Well, I'm just saying.
Training's involved.
I know. I know I'm minimizing the effort, but I'm just saying. Give us some stories of how your survey, your assessment, and now your book and your work have helped people. Do you have any case studies you can share?
Actually, I'll actually just I'll give you a kind of a quick summary from someone I spoke to a week ago, who bought the book, started going through the book, got to chapter 3. That's where I have you take the assessment. Once you get to chapter 3, I have you go online and take the assessment.
It's on page 40, by the way, in the book, folks.
There you go. Very good. Thank you. Took the assessment, and then we got on a Zoom call and started talking. And she was actually trying to verify that she was in the right career, right? And she loved taking personality tests and things like DISC and Clifton Strengths, that type of thing. Had never taken this because it obviously was never available before to measure passion. It perfectly identified for her that she was in the right job. Her job passion type, her dream job type, was organizing and coordinating. Okay, her passion and what she built her entire business around was event planning. It was the perfect fit, right? So it just goes to show you that people are not only using it to figure out whether or not, you know, what they should be doing to make them happy. They're actually taking it to make sure they're in the right career to begin with before they start to grow and expand their business even further.
Okay, so that makes sense. So she had started a business, was trying to decide if it was worth investing more in or investing her own energy in. Why is your whole career so important to people? I mean, I could answer this, but I want to hear what you say. Why is finding a job that somebody really loves or feels passionate about so important? Why is that so important to somebody's happiness or their self-worth or just their image or whatever terminology you want to use?
There are a couple ways to answer this. The first is my personal belief that the single most important thing that anyone can do to ensure lasting happiness in their life is to find a job they love. And I know that sounds like a really bold statement, but when you think about it, there's 24 hours in the day. 8 hours of those we're supposed to be sleeping, so that leaves 16 hours. We work at least 8 out of those 16, which means half of our waking time is spent at work. Now, when you think about it, if you're not happy at work, you're missing out on 50% of your chances to be happy in life. Okay, and it gets worse because the longer you remain unhappy at work, it starts to affect your performance. Sooner or later, that decline in your performance is going to get noticed by your bosses. That could mean that you're going to miss out on pay raises and promotions. Even worse, and you've probably seen this happen, some people get fired because their performance starts to decline to that point. Okay? All of that creates a lot of stress. We know that stress creates serious health conditions. Okay, it's related to heart disease, diabetes. Okay, mental conditions like depression. Okay, for some people it leads to alcohol and drug substance abuse. So again, like, it affects your health, and then all that stress and all that unhappiness from work you bring home with you eventually. You can't leave it at the doorstep at work. You bring it home with you, and it starts to create tension with your family and your friends, and you're just not fun to be around anymore. So you can see how being unhappy at work quickly kind of infiltrates the rest of your life, makes it impossible for you to be happy for the rest of your life too. So the solution is find a job that makes you happy, and the rest of your life could be happy too. Now, the other thing that's really, really important is that when you find a job that makes you happy, why it's so important is there'll be joy, meaning, and fulfillment from your job. There'll be joy, meaning, and fulfillment because it's the kind of job that you'll be happy to jump out of bed and go and do in the morning. You'll be so enthused and energized by doing it, all right? And it will give you a sense of purpose. There will be meaning to your work. I mean, and that's what gives you the sense of fulfillment, right?
If it was, some of these things are a little scary for people, right? I'm going to assume that. Like, it's not easy to say, you know what? I went to college to train to do a certain job. I've been here 9 years. I'm just not feeling it anymore. And it's probably not an easy thing to face that, because now it's like, oh, I waste all this time, you know. So I think that takes a certain amount of courage for somebody to engage that even sort of possibility, like any sort of personal kind of therapy would, in a sense. What do you think? What's a timeline here? I mean, from the point somebody, let's say, creates an awareness that they need to explore other possibilities, they take the survey, they consult, they do it. What's the timeline typically that would be a fair amount that somebody might expect they're going to have to invest before they see a noticeable change? And I'm sure it varies, but it's not going to be an hour, right?
It's not going to be an hour. And in fact, it sometimes takes a lot less than people think. So for example, let's take, for example, you have a degree already, let's say. All right. In some cases, you won't need to go back to college or university and get a totally new degree. You can just take a couple of years to kind of upgrade the degree you've already got. So it might take 2 years of formal education for something. For example, if you want to be a social worker, you need a special degree. I think it's called Bachelor of Social Work or something like that. I'm just doing that by memory right now. Okay, so you would have to upgrade, but it would only take you 2 years to upgrade that degree. And in the meantime, it's not just that, I mean, sure, you're studying, but in the meantime, you're still earning a paycheck from where you're working now. You're getting that degree by studying online at night or by doing night classes or whatever. There's no risk to your financial security.
So there's a transition period.
Yeah, it's a transition period. You can start to even work in situations where you might be able to shadow people that are already doing that job, so you can getting some hands-on experience and get to experience the joy of what it's really going to feel like doing that job. But all this happens in a very secure environment because you're still at your current job, still earning an income. But the thing is that you're much more mentally equipped to handle the 2 years it might take, or 4 years if you actually need a 4-year degree. Okay. Or for example, if you go into the skilled trades, let's say I know people who have left professional jobs to go work in the skilled trades because they find that so much more enjoyable, and they go into an apprenticeship program. They get paid from day one.
Electrician, right?
Yeah, they get paid from day one. There is no transition period really. They get paid to learn, right? So it does vary, but the point is people think that, oh my God, this is going to be such a risk to my financial security and everything. What if it doesn't work? You're not taking any chances. You're studying and getting all this extra, upgrade of knowledge that you need to move into a new job or career while you're still earning an income somewhere else. There is no risk.
Hey, Steve Green here. This is the Make the Grade podcast. We're all about giving you actions and strategies and tips to accelerate your journey of success. My guest today, Ken Stephen. Ken has written a book, and as we learned too, a survey called Dream Job Discovery. We're talking about strategies to maybe pivot your career choice. Ken, question for you. Do you differentiate, or does it matter whether somebody, say, goes from a career that they're less than satisfied in into another job, or versus, let's say, an entrepreneurial type situation, or even like a franchise, which is kind of in between, right? Does it really matter? Because it's really all about the happiness and the passion. Am I oversimplifying it? What's your take on this?
No, you're bang on, Stephen. It's all about happiness, right? So it's all about aligning your dream job type, which is your job passion workflow type. And when I'm talking about that, just let me give your listeners just an idea of what I'm talking about. When I say a job passion type, which I call in the book dream job types, and in our survey results we report them as dream job types. A job passion theme would be something like analyzing or calculating, organizing or coordinating, persuading, storytelling, okay, evaluating or judging. Those are workflow processes. Okay, so what you would do is, if you were thinking of being an entrepreneur, you would want to pick a business that's in line with your top 3 dream job types. And the idea is that there are 21 dream job types in total. We report your top 3. The goal would be to have you in a job where you would have to use your top 3 workflow processes at least 80% of the time. So, it could be 40% for one, 20 for another, 20 for another. Okay, and that leaves 20 of doing things that you're not necessarily really crazy about.
Everybody's going to have that. I mean,
it's going to happen.
I doubt
right?
you're going to get an idealized situation where you never do anything
exactly
you don't like. So we're going to have to live with that to some degree.
Exactly. But if you can get yourself into a job where you can use that workflow process that you love, or your top three that you love. I'll give you a classic example. I use this example in the book. Michelle, for example, who wanted to be a fashion designer, right? She had identified that her dream job type was designing, and perfect. She thought fashion design is what she wanted to do, so she said, this is going to be great. She had two choices. She could either go work for a company as a designer, and in that case, she'd be doing design work 80% of the day, right? Not a problem. She could feel happy doing that job. But if she decided, which she did want to do, she wanted to set up her own business and start her own label as a fashion designer, okay? In that case, my advice to her was make sure that when you start the business, remember your dream job type is designing. So set the business up so that in the short term, I mean, you can't afford to hire people while you're building your business, but hire freelancers to do all of those things that you don't like doing, like the organizing and coordinating, all the admin stuff, right? The finance stuff,
marketing, right?
The marketing stuff, the sales stuff, right? Hire other people to do that for you on a freelance basis and that leaves you 20% of the time to supervise them. And they're presumably doing what they love doing, so that's wonderful, right? And then you concentrate on your 80% of designing to get your label up to where you want it to be. And then when you're big enough that you can afford to build a staff, have them all take the dream job type indicator to identify what they're...
Make sure you have happy, passionate employees.
Exactly. Okay, so if you're a marketing guy, improving and perfecting is going to be your passion theme, right? So...
Interesting. Let me flip it to the other side, because you're not going to have a job without an employer, right? Generally speaking, I would assume that employers would like happy employees. But maybe you know what, if they're not so happy, they're getting paid. I mean, is how important is the environment is kind of what I'm saying. Like, let's use your designer example. She gets trained up, she's sought after, she got 4 different places she could work, let's just say. Now she may almost go and interview them. Hey, I like the other people here. I like the physical space here. I like the flexibility. Maybe she's got a kid and she needs to leave at 3 p.m. or whatever, because a lot of places are doing this to accommodate people, right? So I don't know what word can use here. Your sort of environment. I'm going to just use the environment for everything that's actually where you physically have to work. Assuming you're not working at home. How much does that play into this?
The big thing is culture fit.
Culture fit. There you go. That's a good way to put it. Culture fit.
And culture fit is defined by values. Okay. Now the dream job type indicator measures values. That's how it works, right? So in your report, we break your values down into your core values, your supporting values, sanctioning values, and character values. They all have a different role. And the thing is that you can, once you find out from the assessment what your values are, then you would, if you had a choice of 4 different employers, you would look for the environment, the corporate culture that's defined by the values that are closest to your values.
So it's a similar search, but now you're doing it sort of in terms of the logistics and the realities of what's going on in that place.
Yeah, for example, if sustainability was one of your values, okay, you would not want to go to a company that's polluting the environment or depleting forests or stuff like that through their manufacturing or process.
Because you know what, I hear people say this. I mean, even friends of ours, my wife and I, love my job, hate my boss. Love my job, my coworkers are a bunch of idiots, or whatever. You can't get any good help. They're hiring whatever. So they're not like unhappy individually, but they're not overly happy in the sort of collective, I guess, to use what you said, culture fit. I'm not sure if that would be strong enough to jump to maybe just go to another culture that's better. People do that as well. Let's talk about the book for a second. Do you have a favorite chapter or anything? I always ask people this when they have a book. Is there something about this that you really thought was like, a big epiphany, even writing it? Because sometimes when you write a book, it's like, well, I didn't really even realize that was going to be so important or whatever. But is there something in this book that you really want to just highlight in a minute or two?
Yeah,
it's about 10 chapters.
I think the chapter that sticks out the most for me, I believe, is chapter 2. It's the chapter where I basically talk about.
So let's frame this for a second. Chapter 1, there's an introduction. Chapter 1 is entitled, "What's the Problem?" the forces that sabotage your job satisfaction. Chapter 2, what's the solution? So this is classic sales, right? We got a problem, we got to solve it. Chapter 3 is what's your dream job? Chapter 4 is what are your truths, which I assume is your values. Chapter 5, what is your type? Chapter 6, what are your traits? 7, how do you transition? 8, putting it all together. 9, overcoming obstacles. And 10, what's next? Cultivating joy in the new dream job. So 2 would be what's the solution, right?
Yeah, I think that the big epiphany for me, you know, this whole start of the whole dream job journey for me, trying to figure out what my dream job was when I was 34 years old. I was stuck in a job that I absolutely hated. There was no reason I should have hated that job. I was a vice president at a global corporation, had a great paycheck, I had a company car, I had an expense account. People would have loved to have my job, yet I hated my job, right? And what I figured out is that, and this is the epiphany, and I think this is why it's my favorite chapter. The epiphany was, hey, you know what? It wasn't that I hated my job. It wasn't that I had toxic coworkers. It wasn't any of those reasons that are you know, you mentioned some of those. So some of those reasons that people usually don't like their job, right? It had nothing to do with that. It was that the skills upon which I had built my entire career success so far are skills that I was good at doing but didn't enjoy doing. Okay, and so I kept getting promoted because I was good at these things, and then I had to use more of those skills as I moved further up the line. And it gets to a point where when 80% of the job is doing stuff you're really good at but you don't enjoy, you're obviously not going to have fun in the job, right? And so I talk about it in that chapter. It's the job to satisfaction sequence, and it really is that issue of, you know, you come out of college, you get that first job, your bosses put you to do certain tasks, they notice what you're really, really good at doing, okay, and then they promote you based on that, okay, and then you get into positions of higher responsibility, maybe even have to train people to use those skills, and then you start to feel not so happy, you can't really put your finger on it, you're thinking, well, maybe a change in company will do the trick. So what do? You leverage the skills that you got really good at doing in the first job to go get yourself a job somewhere else.
Doing the same thing though.
Yeah, now you're running on a hamster wheel, right?
Yeah, right.
So that's why that's my favorite chapter, because I think that's an epiphany. It's just like all the typical reasons that you hear people say that, oh, I hate my job. It's my, you know, it's my boss. It's the, you know, it's like they don't give me enough credit. It's not challenging enough. It's not whatever. Some of those are valid reasons. Sometimes they are. Okay, but if you've been hopping from job to job and you still haven't found happiness, it may not be because of those other things. It may be because you're leveraging skills that you don't enjoy.
What would you say to someone who said, if somebody looked at your resume and saw that, oh, you're at this job a year, this year 2 years, this job 3 years, this job 2 years, you're not employable as well because you're changing too much. Is that a risk? I mean, I guess it is a little bit, right? Maybe a lot bit. But you're chasing your own dream. You're not worrying about what the employer's dream is, right? But, you know, the old school, like classical thinking was, you get one place, you stay there, that shows stability. There's 6, I don't know what the magic number is, 2 years, 3 years. It shows stability. So they used to tell people, maybe they still do, I'm not a career counselor, stay at a job for 3 years. Even if you hate it, you're miserable, blah, blah, blah. Because if somebody sees you're at a job a year and a half, they're going to think that you're not stable or whatever words you want to throw in there. But is there any opinion you have about that?
Yeah, I totally have an opinion on that. Like, you're right. Old school was, I mean, certainly when I first went into the workforce, you know, and you know, my parents and everything else.
It was like 2008. No. Ken's like 35.
Yeah, right.
2008 when Ken entered the workforce. No, but for those who remember, it was a different culture nationally, maybe in the 80s, 70s, 80s of this, you know, stability. Like employees wanted to see track record, right? Whether you're good, bad, or in between, that was important to them, it seemed. It probably was. Maybe now that's loosened up because it's so easy to find out about other jobs and things like that. But
I think it's a good rule of thumb to answer your question.
Okay.
Employers are typically looking for 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
However, having said that, that doesn't mean that if you get into a job and 6 months later you realize you've made a terrible mistake and you're not happy, you should not wait the other 18 months, all right? Mm-hmm. Because you can use the rationale for why you left to land yourself the dream job somewhere else.
So you can interview somewhere else and say, I needed to be more passionate. I needed to do these things and work on these strengths. I didn't want to be a manager. I didn't want to be a paper pusher.
No, exactly. So imagine if any of your listeners right now are in that situation, they've been in the job for 6 months, 8 months, they're saying, I'm not happy, but the problem is I don't know what would make me happy, right? Okay, that's where the assessment comes in. You take the assessment, then you'll know what will make you happy. You'll know exactly what you should be looking for in the next job. And then when you go to interview for that job, you can tell them, hey, I wasn't happy. I've discovered in the meantime what does make me happy. I've studied your company. You and I are a good fit.
Like it. Hey, let's answer an important question. How would one get a copy of your book?
Oh, well, thank you. The book is available anywhere books are sold online, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Apple Books. It really is available almost anywhere books are sold online, so it can be ordered easily online. And the assessment can be found on my website, dreamjobdiscovery.com.
Dreamjobdiscovery.com. Is there anything you want to offer people listening to this? Is there any? You don't have to. I mean, is there like a consulting thing you offer, or is there something that so people can get to know you better, know your process better?
I think the thing that, for example, if you checked out my LinkedIn profile, you'll see that I have Monday to Friday. I constantly post something that is in relation.
Ken is very prolific that way.
Yeah, but that
in a good way, because some people put a bunch of junk up there. You don't know what they're talking about. But go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
No, but people could definitely get a feeling for what it is I talk about by checking out my LinkedIn profile and reading my posts every day. You can also go to the Rich Code Club and read my profile there. I do regular postings there. Maybe that's a link we can post in the
yes, we can
in the show notes.
Which book are you in? What book are you in, Ken?
I'm in the next book that's to be published. The one that's coming out this month is not that one, but it's the one that's
you're
going to
come
out at the end of May.
Yeah. By the way, folks, I'm in number 7. Ken and I are in the same book series, but he's in the one after me. That's not a big deal. It's just how it happened. All right. Hey, this is Steve Green. This is the Make the Grade podcast. My guest, Ken Stephen. His book, Dream Job Discovery. He's also got a survey you can do. What's the basic goal here, Ken? Can you sum it up in one sentence?
Yeah, the basic goal is that literally I want to help 1 million people find a job that can make them feel passionate and purpose-driven. And the message would be that if everybody who knew somebody that was in a job they didn't like got them to read the book, and they told 2 friends, and they told 2 friends, and they told 2 friends, in less than 30 days, we would have reached 1 million people. So it is not an impossible goal, but I need to start a movement. And I really encourage people who want to make the world a happier place to work to join my movement to tell 2 friends.
So it's not much of an ask, right? You're going to talk to 2 people anyway. Now, listen, I appreciate your goal because it's big. And because it's big, it's going to take some effort. But imagine, even if you came up short and only did 20% of that. I mean, imagine the collective difference that would make.
That would make me very happy.
So listen, Ken Stephen, say your website again, please, Ken.
Yeah, it's dreamjobdiscovery.com. Same as the book title.
Okay, and you can get, same as the book. Sometimes it's right in front of me. Ken, you want to play everybody's favorite Make the Grade podcast game?
What's that?
It's called the Fave 5. Yeah. All right, here's what we're going to do.
Okay.
This is a little human interest stuff. Maybe we can just relax and take a breath.
Okay.
Hey, Ken was an awesome guest, man. Ken brought a ton of value. I'm telling you, I think every guest I have does a really nice job. But this is really important stuff. Whether you're a parent and you're concerned about your own career or your children's careers or your friends, because one of the things you said, I want to underscore one thing you said. Unhappiness, that's a word, right? Lack of happiness in the workplace. Eventually, 100% of the time, you bring it home. It's impossible not to, because you go to work and you get all bummed out and you're driving home or whatever you're doing and you're just miserable, and then you come home and you need a drink or something, and then you just dump it on the people that you don't really want to burden with it, but you got nobody else to talk to, and it's just unhappiness. But the question people say is, I don't know what to do. I know I'm unhappy. It's almost like being in an abusive relationship. I certainly do not want to make light of that. But a lot of people get in these relationships and they don't know how to get out of them. They don't know where to go. They don't know where to get help. And it's kind of sort of parallel that in the sense of how to get your mindset to be able to be strong enough to make that change. That's what Ken's job is, man. He's unbelievable. You like your job, Ken?
I love it.
Are you passionate about helping people?
I'm passionate about teaching people to be passionate.
There you go. You better be, man. All right, listen, Fave 5. I'm going to say something. You tell me your favorite thing in this category. This is easy. We're starting with an easy one. Color. Favorite color. Ken's favorite color.
Favorite color, blue.
Ooh, nice. Okay, I happen to have a blue pen. So I wrote that your favorite color was blue in blue.
Very good.
Incredible.
Off to a good start.
Food. What kind of food you like?
Pasta.
Pasta. Any particular kind? Lasagna?
No,
Al
spaghetti's
dente?
good.
Just
Spaghetti's good.
Straight up spaghetti with the red
Spaghetti's
sauce?
good. I'm a simple guy.
But in Canada, they call it sauce or gravy?
Sauce.
Sauce.
We're talking about spaghetti sauce, right?
Yeah, right. Well,
Oh, yeah, we're talking spaghetti. Oh, yeah, sauce. Absolutely.
But believe me, I live in Philadelphia, man. And in New York, they call it gravy.
No way.
Yeah, yes, why?
I did not know that.
You go to an Italian restaurant in South Philly and you say, I want tomato sauce? They take you out back with Tony. Kind of joking, but they call it gravy. Yeah. Place to vacation. Assuming you get to vacation. Or where you've been or want to go.
I actually, the place I want to go, Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. A lot of people say like places like that because, it kind of has a cachet, like it's sort of eco-friendly and it's beautiful and there's rainforest and the weather's pretty nice. You never been there though.
No, I was supposed to go in February, but the whole COVID thing had to cancel the trip.
Tell me about it. I'm supposed to go to Galapagos in a week.
Perfect.
Third try. Let's go 2 years ago, 1 year ago, and maybe in a week. So hopefully it's going to happen. Music.
Music. I love all kinds of music, but my favorite, if I had to only listen to one thing, it would probably be Mozart.
Mozart. Who's your favorite Canadian artist?
Canadian, what, music artist?
Yeah, who's your favorite Canadian? Give a little national pride here.
We're talking music or just favorite Canadian?
No, like musician. Like you like a rock guy like Rush or like Neil Young or.
So you're putting me on the spot here.
Guess who? Guess who? We're Canadian.
Actually, you know what?
I'm going way back there. I'm going way back.
If we're going way back, you're right. The Guess Who, that would be good, right? Because
sure, yeah.
Yeah, that would be good.
Burton Cummings.
Excellent. Yeah, Randy Bachman. Randy Bachman. Right?
Bachman Turner Overdrive.
We are going back here. We are going very far back.
It's nostalgia. We got a little nostalgia. Yeah, Canadian. It's see.
And the other guy too is that Gordon Lightfoot. He had some interesting little ditties. Some interesting little ditties. He did.
Edmund Fitzgerald.
That's the one. Can't get that tune out of your head once you start singing it.
You could read my mind.
There you go.
What's the other one I like? Sundown.
Oh yeah, Sundown. Yeah, right.
Canadian Railroad Trilogy.
Yeah, I think you and I are we're both of us must be 35.
Yeah, hey, we gotta tell you, man. So my parents, I listen to my parents when they. So this is fun, huh? Okay, Mozart though. Yes, Biggie. Last one, bucket list.
Actually, we had to do. We're getting back to the contemporary stuff. Okay, if I couldn't listen to Mozart, I'd listen to Neil Diamond all day.
Neil Diamond.
Oh yeah. See, so since we're going back.
So I got to ask you, what's your favorite Neil Diamond song?
Oh, geez, there's too many. He had
what
so
I like.
many.
I'll give you one. I Am, I Said.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I see. I Am, I Said. That's perfect.
Actually, you know what? Let me pontificate silently. That song. Anybody knows that song? It's really exactly about what your book's about. It's about a person trying to discover their meaning in life.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually, when I was in college, Neil Young played at my school. And before the concert, he gave like I hate to use the term lecture, but it basically was like he got up in front of a class and it was like a lottery to get in. Now he wasn't like super big. He kind of like gotten famous, sort of faded, and then kind of had like another bump in his career later. But this was sort of in between. So he was touring like colleges in the United States. And he basically did a workshop on it and what inspired him to write songs, which fascinated me because I was a musician. I mean, I still play music, but I'm not, famous like Neil Young. But anyway, so he went into like 5 or 6 of his songs and really broke down.
Oh, wow.
Like, and he's like, and he started, that was the last one he did. And he's like, who's heard of this song? And You got to be kind of more of like a Neil Diamond fan. That's not his most, it was like a big FM hit kind of song. But that song is about, if you want to listen to it again, listen to the words. It's about finding what your perceived meaning in life.
Yeah, I never thought of the connection to the book, but you're right. Yeah.
Well, I didn't either until right now.
Yeah.
Incredible. I said to no one there, and no one heard a word at all, even at the chair. So you're like,
there you go.
Who cares? What's your favorite podcast?
My favorite podcast. There's so many. Actually, I think your podcast is amazing, Stephen.
Yes. And you do your own podcast?
So far, it's my favorite podcast.
There we go. That's it. I'll take that answer. Hey, Ken, Stephen, thank you for spending some time with me and the Make the Grade audience. This book, I'm telling you, if you got anything, I think this really could be extended beyond just jobs. This could be extended into just life purpose. There's a lot of value in here. And the book's like, how much is this book, Ken? Can you want to say?
Yeah, the paperback $16.99. You can get the digital version at Kindle version for $7.49.
So listen, if you can't invest, I'm gonna say this because Ken probably won't. If you can't invest $17 plus shipping, so $20 for something that could really seriously, positively change your life, think about it. And Ken, can they get an autograph like my copy? Maybe. I'm special. And anything I left out you want to talk about for 30 seconds before we wrap this up?
No, Stephen, I just want to, again, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. And I really appreciate your support in helping me create a movement to make the world a happier place to work.
There we go. That's what it all comes down to. And you know what? If anybody can do it, it's you. Actually, get with me after. I got a few people I want to introduce you to. I think I want to do a little networking and kind of get you out there, help you out. Hey, Steve Green, Ken Stephen. Love it, man. Ken Stephen Green. Yes. Make the Grade podcast. This is all about giving you, the listeners, strategies, tools, ideas, motivation to get you accelerated on your journey to success. Career, that's big. This is macro stuff, right? This isn't like just taking a little quiz and math on a Friday. This is big stuff. And one thing Ken pointed out, we didn't get as deep into it, is the earlier you start thinking about this, Ken, correct me if I'm wrong, the earlier you start thinking about this, the better. You don't want to invest 4 years, 6 years, whatever, and a lot of cabbage going to school for something you're going to hate 2 years later. And it happens, unfortunately. Hey, I got some great guests coming up. If you want to be a guest on this podcast, just reach out to me. I am scheduling right now. Well, I don't know when you're listening to this, but in the May and June and July of 2022. But hey, just reach out. Let me know if you got something important to say. I would love to hear it. That's about it. And the only way, I don't ask for anything for this, the way you can thank me is share this. The more people that listen to the advice and the wisdom and the sagacious things that people like Ken are saying, the better. So I just ask people, share this. Let other people hear this. If it helps one person, let alone 1 million, that makes me happy. So we are going to roll this out. Here, Ken, here, I'll play a little of my music. There we go. Yeah. So we will see y'all next week or next time or next year or next month. Make the Grade podcast. Thanks again and have a great week.
You've been listening to Make the Grade with the Success Doctor, Stephen Green. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe. For more resources and support, please visit makethegrade.net.